So, hello, this is Crystal Racing with the race review for the 2021 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Blimey, what a show we had today. Literally everything happened today. Stewards playing deal or no deal with Red Bull. Hamilton and Verstappen going wheel to wheel and taking each other off the track. Drivers crashing into each other. A big two piles up. The first one with Mick Schumacher crashing out of the race. He'll get 3 out of 10 because, of course, although of course you could argue you could get 10 out of 10 for the fact that if it wasn't for him crashing out, today could have been a bog standard championship race, but because of his him crashing out, all the chaos then kicked off afterwards, and then of course Russell, Sergio Perez, and Mazepin took each other out in a monster collision when of course Perez was spun around by Charles Leclerc, and with all the cars bottling up to avoid the accident, Russell slowed down quite dramatically, and Mazepin had nowhere to go but to clang him and Russell out of the race. I will not be giving any of those three drivers any scores because, frankly, what happened was just a big accident. I don't think anyone should point any fingers at anyone involved between Perez, Russell and Mazepin. Leclerc was pretty much came on the radio saying that Perez squeezed him, so I'm not going to blame him too much. But, of course, I think we all know there's only two drivers anyone really cares about out of this race. It's Lewis Hamilton, the race winner, and Max Verstappen, the guy who finished second. Oh my goodness, where do I even begin with these two? Of course, for those wondering, Max Verstappen got a 5-second penalty, not for the incident where he was supposed to let Lewis pass. And of course, some accused him of brake testing. No, it was because of the incident at turn 1 earlier on in the race where Lewis was had the outside line, but then Max Verstappen then broke really late, lost control of his car temporarily, and then both drivers went off the track, and Max Verstappen held on to the lead. That was the one he got a 5-second penalty for, but in terms of what happened, in terms of the incident where Lewis ended up running into the back of Max Verstappen after turn 27, apparently Mercedes were told of the fact that Red Bull had ordered Max to let Lewis back through, but then of course, for some reason, with Max slowing down on the straight, Lewis Hamilton, partially due to the blind corners around this track, Lewis literally rammed into the back of Max Verstappen. Really strange incident. Apparently Mercedes still hadn't got wind of the message that Max was going to let him through. I don't know how on earth Mercedes didn't get the message. I don't know how on earth they didn't manage to convey that message in time to Lewis Hamilton. It's a total cluster F. What even was going on today? I'll give Lewis Hamilton 8 out of 10. I'll give Max Verstappen 7 out of 10 because, of course, Max Verstappen's driving was really borderline today. But I've got to give the Reject of the Day award to the FIA and Michael Massey. What on earth are you doing trying to... yes, I know because of what happened on the second start where, yes, Max Verstappen illegally overtook Lewis Hamilton at the restart after Mick Schumacher's crash, and of course with the pile-up which took out Perez, Russell and Mazepin, that meant that Max was leading, Ocon was second and Hamilton was third, but because obviously Max had to let Lewis back through, that meant Perez was able to start the third start in first place with Lewis in second and Max in third. What an absolute mess, seriously. But as it was, on the third start, Lewis pushed Ocon wide, both went off wide at turn 1, and Max Verstappen took advantage of Lewis trying to block off Ocon, and then of course Max got past Lewis, and then of course Max quickly got past Ocon. And seriously, I am absolutely lost. I don't even know what to say. So it's 8 out of 10 for Lewis Hamilton, 7 out of 10 for Max Verstappen. Do these scores even make sense? I don't even know. Valtteri Bottas finished third. Of course, when they called the safety car for Mick Schumacher's accident, of course, Valtteri Bottas literally was holding Max Verstappen up. Very lucky. Did he get a penalty for that? I'm sure he got a penalty for that, but I'm not sure, did he? I can't even remember. So many things happened today. But the thing is, though, even so, of course, say after all those restarts, I mean, Valtteri Bottas ended up falling down to 5th place after, what's it? Did he do any pit stops today? I'm not even sure. I mean, of course, they were allowed to change tyres after, during the red flag. I'm not even sure. I'm gonna have to look. Did they do any pit stops? I'm still not even sure. I mean, I can't even remember Max Verstappen pitting at all during the race. I'm not even sure that's allowed. But of course, I'm pretty sure they changed him onto the alternative compound of tyre. Valtteri Bottas 7 out of 10. Did a good comeback drive, but how on earth did he end up getting stuck in a pack for so long? I mean, I know it's Valtteri Bottas, but come on, man. 4th place, Esteban Ocon, 9 out of 10. Made the most out of all the goings on today. I mean, Ocon has got such a knack of making up positions during these sort of wacky races. I mean, he did a very good job today. I mean, I'm still not particularly impressed by Esteban Ocon in general, to be honest. I think he's a very average driver, but he does have a knack of making the most out of the misfortunes. He's almost sort of like a younger French version of Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo, 9 out of 10, didn't really see anything, but I think he did make a very good start and made the most out of everyone's other problems, like he always seems to do in these sort of races. 6th place, Pierre Gasly, 9 out of 10. Of course, going into the weekend, everyone was talking about how bad AlphaTauri's tyre wear is during races, but Pierre Gasly did a good job. And not only did he qualify well, he raced well again. So, again, one of the better drivers of the season. 7th place, Charles Leclerc, 8 out of 10. Had a moment with his teammate where they both pushed each other wide, of course, whilst Vettel got rammed up the road by Tsunoda. I don't know what that was all about. 8th place, Carlos Sainz, 8 out of 10. I think, Leclerc allowed Sainz to go through to try and chase Gasly, but when Sainz realised he couldn't catch Gasly, he just let Leclerc back through. 9th place, Antonio Giovinazzi in his penultimate F1 race, finished 9th, 9.5 out of 10. Great qualifying effort, great performance getting into Q3, and of course, did well to get through all the francas. 9.5 out of 10. It's a shame he's not going to be in F1 next year because today he looked very good. 10th place, Lando Norris, 7 out of 10. Got overshadowed by Ricciardo, but of course I think he was forced to avoid all the melee and all the debris, so I suppose this was the best he could do. 11th place, Lance Stroll, 7 out of 10. Well, with the Aston Martin being so slow this weekend, with both him and Vettel getting knocked out in Q1, only faster than Haas, this was literally the maximum he could do. 12th place, Nicholas Latifi. I don't know, who cares really? It's Latifi, just kept his nose out of trouble, just basically was waiting for the drivers to crash out. Same story really with Latifi, that's all he can do in general. 13th place, Fernando Alonso, 4 out of 10. 14th place, Yuki Tsunoda, 4 out of 10. 15th place, and last, Kimi Raikkonen, 4 out of 10. Alonso was had an absolutely awful day where he spun around at least 2 or 3 times, and although I will give him credit for telling the FIA there was just so much debris on track today. Tsunoda, I mean, you could argue he reached get 3 out of 10, but to me, though, I mean, you could argue what happened between him and Vettel was a racing incident, but Tsunoda was a bit too optimistic trying to squeeze past Vettel. But because of the tight nature of the corners around this track, it's so hot, it's so easy to get frustrated. I mean, this track is basically like an F1 oval circuit. It's a joke. It's so fast and it's so tight. I mean, next year, I can guarantee you there's going to be a horrendous crash here, and I have to say, it kind of makes sense why someone like Kimi Raikkonen is retiring, because I don't think he wants to pull up with his BS anymore. Kimi Raikkonen was far too overzealous when he tried to squeeze past Vettel, I have to say, trying to hold his line around the outside. I mean, look, Kimi, I know you're fed up with F1, but this is getting a bit unnecessary now. Sebastian Vettel, another one of the retirees, 4 out of 10. Oh dear. I mean, I suppose some would say I'm harsh for giving him 4 out of 10, but you know, just this whole race went wrong, really, and I don't know what else to say. And you know, he tried hobbling on with a damage, but eventually, with a few laps to go, he just parked it. And let's be honest, he probably should. I mean, I think he just realised the car was an absolute mess after that. But to be fair to Aston Martin at zero pace, of course, as I've said, Russell, Perez and Mazepin are not getting scored for their performances this weekend. They just got taken out in the melee. Don't have a clue what they would have done in a normal race. And of course, Mick Schumacher 3 out of 10 because he started it all, really. I mean, I'm not entirely sure why on earth he ended up losing his car like he did. Very similar to Charles Leclerc's crash in FP3, but really, no, considering you're in the slowest car on the grid, there's no need to be losing your car, control your car like that and causing a crash. Very, very ugly day of F1, I have to say. I mean, I suppose Liberty Media will be very happy with what they got because, you know, the tabloids will never shut about what happened today's race. I'm not really sure. Will Max Verstappen get disqualified? I very, 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 very much highly doubt it because, of course, Hamilton and Verstappen are going into the final race at Abu Dhabi on equal points. Max Verstappen still leads the championship on countback, having taken 9 victories this season, whilst Lewis Hamilton has taken 8 wins. Well, I am absolutely knackered. I mean, God, I mean, there's just gonna be so many arguments. I don't even know what to say. I am tired. Look, for anyone who wants to comment in the comment sections below, just keep it polite. Because look, if you think today's race was an absolute storm, man, I get the feeling this year's World Championship is going to be decided in the steward's office. It's been that sort of season. You know, Hamilton and Verstappen collided at Silverstone. Verstappen ended up in a war and Hamilton ended up winning. But Bottas went on maniac mode in Hungary and wrecked Verstappen's race with that idiotic moment at turn 1 when he launched his car into Max, Perez and Norris. Then, of course, we had the farce at Belgium where, you know, the race was declared after just 1 lap and half points were given. I mean, not going to blame Max too much for that, but that was literally laughable. Then, of course, we had the collision between Max and Lewis at Monza, where both drivers were eliminated. And, of course, Lewis was very lucky to be alive thanks to the halo. Oh, my God, what a season, eh? And then, of course, we can even go further back to, what was it, Imola, near the start of this season, where, of course, Max shoved Lewis off the road. Max was lucky not to get a penalty for that, I'll say that. It's been a very ugly, ugly, bitter year, and I have to say, this is not a season that anyone is going to forget for many years to come, because it's been that sort of season, but it's not been a pretty fight. It's been a very... This is not going to be remembered in the same way as, you know, the sort of battle we had between Sebastian Vettel and Fernando Alonso, Mika Hakkinen and Michael Schumacher, you know, where it was just a straight-out fight. This is just an ugly battle now. to the absolute death. You can tell both drivers are not going to give an inch at this point. I'm knackered. I am really tired, so thank you for watching.